First of all, I think it was very important to go to Sofia to raise some questions about the detention of the opposition leader for 24 hours without any kind of legal order, without any involvement of a judge or a prosecutor. So it was very important to go to Sofia to raise those questions, to ask clarifications, but also to take the time to assess these information. We got a lot of information both in orally and in writing, and if you take rule of law seriously, you need to also take the time to digest this information, to assess the information, to discuss it with the colleagues here, and only then to make a statement. But I think it's very clear from the information we gathered during our visit that the procedure with which Bojko Borisov and others were detained for 24 hours are not in line with the rule of law. The fact that still now, up to this moment, there is still no post factum court order to justify the arrest and detention and the house searches already speaks volumes. So I think it's very important that in Bulgaria also this government takes the rule of law very seriously and respects the rule of law.
I was very interested and very concerned when I heard that there were 3 arrestations. First Premier Bojko Borisov, now opposition leader, then the former finance minister and one press officer. I was astonished by the kind of arrestation. So when I was informed, Manfred Weber, our delegation, our group leader, decided that it would be necessary to make a fact-finding mission to experience what has happened and to bring all the information here to the European Parliament. So when we arrived there, we got a lot of information, but we soon revealed that the procedure of arrestation was not in line with Bulgarian legislation and was not in line with European rule of law. This is the reason why we then had several talks to clarify if this assumption that it is not in line with Bulgarian legislation, not in line with rule of law, these kind of arrestation and the kind of search in the houses of Bojko Borisov and of the former finance minister and of the press officer. And it is now very clear that the arrestations and the search in the houses were not in line with legislation, not in line with rule of law. This is why I will put a lot of questions to the Commission, and I think it is necessary to examine this type of procedure. Everybody, we are all together in fighting corruption, but we don't want to politicize the fight against corruption, so that one political side that is in government tries to destroy the opposition and to tell that it is the former government or the opposition who is responsible for corruption. Corruption is a very serious issue, and this means that firstly, we don't want that somebody is intervening in a non-legal way in the investigations of the European prosecutor. European prosecutor must have the possibility to investigate all cases, and that there are not created narratives that there is no intervention by the Bulgarian government, and that there is no politicizing of legal investigations. Secondly, I expect that everybody is participating in this fight against corruption, but that we are following the rules, that we are following the legislation. It is not okay if somebody tries to breach legislation and then to say, I'm breaching legislation or breaching rule of law because I want to protect rule of law. If we wish to protect rule of law, we have all to act in line with rule of law. And the Bulgarian government has to act in line with Bulgarian law. And for me, it's alarming that a Minister of Interior with police officers is able to do a search without a permission of a judge, without informing the general prosecutor or the prosecutor, the justice system. This is for me a very strange development. We will analyze all facts and we will analyze what EPPO will bring to us as information when the investigations are concluded. And perhaps last point, I was very astonished that a serious criminal that is charged for a lot of serious crimes is taken as witness. I think EPPO has to do the work on the European side, and the Bulgarian government should take legal actions and should clarify corruption cases, national corruption cases, in a legal way and in a way that is in line with rule of law standards here in the European Union. With the 3 arrestations and the searches, they were not in line with rule of law of the European Union, and they were not in line with Bulgarian legislation.